All right. Hey, well, welcome to Tobacco Road Weekly. It's been a long time since we've jumped on board with this, and but we couldn't let another season go by without getting at least one episode. So, with me tonight, I have co-host Stevie Fly. Stevie, how's it going?
Going good, bud. How you?
Good, good. And we got Chris Andreessen, who's our frequent guest, joining us tonight as well.
You might.
Chris, welcome.
Wahoo boys! As you've heard me say before, the ACC tournament, best time of the year. One of the best
It,
sporting events of the year. It's awesome.
it,
Hold
it
up.
is, no
Hold
doubt.
up. Let me go ahead and get this out of the way. You called him like a guest. You might as well call him the third member.
Yeah,
He,
co-host.
I
You're
mean,
right. You're
yeah,
right.
I want to get that out here right now. He might as well be the third member of this because he's
I
a
agree.
key part of this group. I mean, you can't not say he's
We got to have something to balance out that state, dude. I mean,
exactly.
Carolina.
We gotta have
everything.
an impartial third party in here.
I'm
I don't know how
always, and as Billy
impartial
knows,
he
a
is.
happy role player. Okay, on any
See?
team. I'm
He's
playing my
yeah.
role here.
You're the diva, Billy. I'm like the blue collar guy, and he's the role player.
All right. I think Chris would fit the diva role, but oh man. Speaking of divas, UNC Chapel Hill. Here we go.
Don't make me start
Uh,
talking, Billy.
so guys, well, let's start ACC in general, right? So preseason, not to knock on Carolina, but I'll knock on Carolina.
Oh, knock them
Carolina
off.
had
They
an
deserve to be
incredible
knocked.
run. Well, let's go. I mean, remember last year at this point, we're kind of talking. Carolina had their struggles last year, and boy, they peaked at the right time and made an incredible run last year to at the national championship. So I give them all credit. They get pretty much all their pieces back, except Manic, which is a huge piece, and I think that's what we're seeing
Evidently.
them missing this year. It is a huge piece, and they have not lived up to expectations. But they're not the only one.
No.
Duke is completely loaded. I know it's a lot of freshmen. They got some of the best talent in the country this year, and he started slow, and they're getting it going a little bit more now, but have not lived up to expectations. So everybody's screaming it's a down year for the ACC, which I get, and I think we were talking about this a little bit before the call started. But is it a down year just because the teams that seem to be the ones that are supposed to be good aren't, or they're just not really good teams in the ACC this year?
It's no more of a down year than last year was at this time. I mean, last year at this time we were saying the same thing, and then you ended up having two ACC teams in the Final Four. But yeah, right now, I mean, like we said before, it is, and not blowing smoke up Chris's butt, but Virginia is the biggest threat in the ACC right now because their experience factor. Miami will do what Miami does. Miami will have an incredible regular season. Tournament time, they'll choke. I mean, that's until they prove otherwise to me. That's their stigma. Miami will choke in the tournament, and they've got a good team. I mean, they're 23-6, three-way tie atop the ACC right now. Miami, Virginia, and Pitt. I mean, this is a team last year. Pitt was how many times did we talk last year about Capel was on the hot seat? Capel was on the hot seat. And look what he's done with that team this year.
It was burning.
Yeah, it was
burning.
I mean, he was
but
like, yeah.
But are they not a good basketball team?
I didn't say they were not a good basketball team, but you think they're going to win the national championship? You think they're going to win the ACC tournament?
I think they could easily win the ACC tournament.
I don't.
I feel like they're a team that their ceiling's not what you're getting at, Stevie. They don't have that high ceiling. You sort of know what their floor is. And I would just say, I mean, I think we've been saying this the last couple of years, college basketball is still in this. I mean, it's changing. It's certainly changed.
Definitely.
It's still changing. And so you look at the effect of, one or two transfers that hit. That's what you saw with, you've seen that over the court in this conference, especially. That to me was one of the more interesting storylines for UVA coming into the year is, and all this turmoil stuff, we had the same, the core group coming back. And I was like, well, that team wasn't so great last year. We shot a little bit better, so we performed better. But that but then you look at Carolina, sort of the same thing, right? You had sort of the core coming back, as you guys mentioned.
Oh yeah.
But then the result is different. And it's amazing to me how talked about Manic losing one player, the effect that has, but also gaining a player through the transfer portal, what effect that has. I mean, Billy, you can talk about the Wolf Pack, right? I mean, Burns, that's been a huge difference for you guys. Yeah. Some of these guys come just from out of nowhere, and either they fit or they don't. They make an impact, they're gone. So to me, I just look at it as a whole. But you look at some of these other conferences, some of them started out rough, now they're peaking.
Mhm.
The ACC has been just sort of a roller coaster all year. You really can't depend on anyone night in, night out.
Wasn't Clemson on top of the ACC one time by herself?
Oh yes.
And look at where they're at now. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You've got, and I guess the cream rises to the top eventually. But you look at Clemson, and I'm not going to say anything, Billy, about what happened in Raleigh the other day. But you look at Clemson, and
Is my state beating Carolina? Or
no, Billy, don't make me start talking, dude. This is what I'm talking about. You got a team like State, and Keats has done a good job with them this year. Burns has helped out a lot, but you got a team like State that gets a big win over Carolina. They're like on cloud 9 because they beat Carolina. And then they go in to take on Clemson in a big, every game the rest of the year for State, or everybody, is a big game. And then State lays an egg. I mean, how much they end up losing by? It was bad, right?
25, that's the only game they've had that was a blowout the entire season.
And
Clemson needed it way more than State did.
That makes no sense to me with the way Clemson's playing, the way State's been playing. I mean, that's what bothers me about that State team. You play your butt off. You can get, and granted, I know the Carolina rivalry, you get up for the Carolina game and what happened over there at Chapel Hill.
Well,
Pumped up for.
I give you that most seasons, Stevie. This year, I can't give you that. That's the only game that's happened. If you would think
I know, but why?
I think it'd be the Wake Forest game.
We beat
after
Clemson.
The Carolina. So
we beat Clemson. We tore Clemson up. I mean,
dude, we blew out Duke by 25 points. It doesn't matter. Right. It depends on the night who's hot. You have a bad night, things are going to go poorly for you.
But that's how it is in the ACC this year. That's how it is
in basketball. It's not just the ACC. I think you can look across all conferences and you're going to see some crazy upset. That's just basketball. And I think ACC is more, I think they have better teams top to bottom than most conferences. And I think that's what you run into. You've got some conferences that have really great teams, and then they don't have that good of teams. Any team could be any team on a given night. I mean, Virginia, what'd you guys beat Louisville by? 2, 4, 3?
I think it was ended up being 4. We beat Notre Dame by 2 when they had a shot to win it. So we were scratching there for a while.
If Virginia's a really good team, but Louisville on the right night has got a shot. It's weird how these things.
I don't know, Billy. Louisville's so bad. I mean, that's a dog right there. I mean, let's just call it.
Louisville was a dog at halftime doing the frisbee thing. Took a dump on Louisville's court at halftime. I mean, that's how bad they're playing right now. The dog took a dump on their.
I think the ACC is interesting this year. You really don't have a middle. I think it's a pretty stark. You get some pretty underperforming teams in there. That again, surprising, especially when you look to last year. You mentioned Virginia Tech. I thought that maybe they would be up near the top this year, and they've been inconsistent all year.
Yeah, they had some injury bugs, and then
they beat us.
All, so.
So.
Hey, I mean, Billy, this will go to show you right here. Look at the top 25.
Yes,
the top ranked ACC team is Virginia at 13th.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Then Miami at 16th, and then Pitt at 25. That's the only 3 teams ranked in the ACC right now. And Pitt plays Miami next, so that'll probably knock Pitt or Miami out of the top 25. So you want to know why? I mean, look at all those years. There was 4 or 5 ACC teams in the top 10, and now
Yeah,
you don't
I
have a
get
team
it,
in the top 10. I mean, it's
which is very unusual. So it's definitely unusual to
well, I
have a
mean,
year like
it's
that.
becoming a downward trend for the ACC right now, and I don't know what the answer is, but I know
Well,
the transfer portal is got something to do with it. I think. I mean, the ACC picks up their players, but also I really don't know what the answer is. You look at the top. Houston's at the top. They're in the AAC. Of course, there's not going to be another AAC team in there, I don't think. Alabama, SEC team, Kansas, of course, defending national champions, and UCLA and Purdue. So, I mean, your top 5. I mean, I hate to say it, Billy. ACC and I hope I do what I did last year to it, because I said the same thing last year.
Yeah.
The ACC is not even like the 3rd or 4th ranked basketball conference right now.
And right now it's not, and I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. I mean, I agree with you. There's an issue there for sure. So, but I do think it's a lot of stock put into, and I do think conference measured on if Duke's successful, if Carolina's successful.
Now
I do think that's some truth.
I don't go by the Carolina deal, because Carolina's had some down years. Last year, yeah, they get to the national championship game, but going into this ACC tournament Carolina was, I mean, after they beat Duke at Cameron, that was a big win for them, of course, and that kind of started the whole thing for them. But before that, were you thinking of Carolina as a national title contender?
No, not at all.
The Duke thing,
Not at
with Coach K
all.
there, the Duke thing with Coach K there, yeah, I'll go along with that. This year, with Shire, I don't think that was the case. I think it's just the ACC, and I don't want to say it to come out wrong. ACC's kind of boring right now. I mean, you've lost the Coach K aura at Duke. Of course, Roy being gone from Carolina for the last 2 years. Hubert's there. Hubert's, people are now, of course, again, calling for Hubert's job again. And I think that's a bunch of BS. I'm not going to point the whole finger at Hubert for the way the year's gone. I think those players have a lot to do with it. I think the ranking got to their head, and they're doing things. They started doing things that wasn't their game. They had a lot this year. The 3-point thing kills me. They drive inside. If Caleb Love will drive inside and draw a foul, it's fine. I mean, he can make some shots inside, and every once in a while,
it's not hard for Carolina to draw a foul.
So Duke. What about you didn't say anything about Duke, the amount of free throws they took against y'all the other night, Billy. Why is that?
Man, it wasn't as many as Carolina.
You wanna go look at it?
39? Did they take 39 free throw shots?
25 free throws. So y'all took 7. And you didn't say anything. You didn't say anything about that, though. I wonder why.
Well,
You still got some old Dookie blood in you.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I hope not.
You do.
Don't
lie.
So when you make a good point about kind of the change in the guard.
Yeah.
I mean, Bennett is now the guy.
Bennett is the elder statesman of the ACC.
He is the guy. And he's earned it. And I mean, Chris, where do you think your guys are? I mean, it seems like I wasn't sure. I mean, you dropped 2 in a row, right? And then, Clemson comes in. I'm like, and Clemson was hot. They destroyed us. Clemson shoots the ball well. You got them, and you shut them down and take a good win there. It sounds like the ship's been righted. What do you think of this Virginia team?
Well, I mean, Tony Bennett, here we are, 29 games in. He's still messing with the lineup, right? So he's still trying to figure out what this team is. And again, just like any team, when you're shooting it, behind threes for 40+%, you're going to look really good, right? It's going to cover up some of those warts. But, that Boston College game was that was when the wheels sort of fell off, because we shot, I mean, I've never seen us shoot that poorly. But then, Carolina, of course, that was going to be a tough one. To me, it's like, we're a little bit different Jekyll and Hyde versus on the road at home. We struggled against Louisville on the road. We get to host them for our final game, which is good over the weekend. But yeah, I mean, I think that UVA, just like last year, we got a good core. I think we're deeper, certainly, in that the freshmen have played well at times. But, Bennett is still coaching them. And I think that, again, I've never sort of wavered this year because I always trust in Tony. And, so he's still sort of experimenting, which to me at this point in the year is pretty amazing. I mean, folks have fallen out of the rotation. Shedrick, he came back into the rotation. Now he's out again. I mean, guys that played less than 10 minutes all year, played against Clemson. I mean, it's wild, but again, I trust in Tony, and he'll get them playing well at the right time. And like you said, I mean, over the last 10 years, I don't think anyone's been more consistent in the ACC than UVA.
Exactly.
I totally agree.
So, but yeah, I think we fall in love with the 3 too often. And
a lot of teams do that.
A lot of teams do. That's the nature of the game now.
It's what it is.
So.
The NBA, the whole NBA shooting threes from half court deal and not playing defense. I won't say college basketball is gone where they're not playing defense, because they do, but it's getting more and more where these guys are like, okay, I've got to shoot threes from half court. I've got to do this. Give me a break, dude. You're not.
I mean, it is. I mean, I don't know why. In watching college basketball all these years, I don't know that I've ever seen like more 90-point regulation games. I mean, NC State's had a few of them. I see them all around college basketball now, and sometimes not from great teams. Right. But then the same team can come out and score 62 the next game. It's just like it's crazy in that way.
And you make a good point. You looking at the Virginia scores this year. Virginia was well known for their defense. That was like, if you scored 40 some points against Virginia, that was a good night most nights. And now, Virginia 60 points here. I'm looking at the last, 65.
Right.
I mean, yeah, it's different.
Our watermark is 60, Stevie. Our watermark is 60.
Yeah, but I can remember Carolina playing y'all, and I was like, if Carolina scores 40 points against Virginia, they'll be lucky.
Well, I mean, Billy ditched me for the UVA NC State game, and I know he was probably happy about that when he saw the result. But during the game, I mean, again, NC State was coming off a huge victory, and then all of a sudden they couldn't hit any. I mean, Joyner, that was probably his worst game of the year, right, Billy?
It was horrible.
And of course, Burns was a knucklehead all game. But like those types of things within the game, you sort of, okay, maybe that's one thing. But yeah, certainly our defense is still good, Stevie.
Yeah, it's still good. Yeah,
our offense is better this year than compared to last year, but it's certainly not as like locked down. And again, it's the same thing. Whoever we're playing, our opponent can go through scoring droughts 5-6 minutes, but we'll also have a 5-6 minute scoring drought. So it kind of, it balances itself out in that way. And so that's the way that we play. I mean, our margin of error is so small. And so when you have a game like against BC where you shoot 20%, you're going to lose the game. I mean, and it's not going to be close. We played a little bit better in the second half against Carolina, but that was sort of again, just rough stretch of those 4 games where you had Notre Dame, Louisville, Boston College. You're thinking, okay, easy wins, bottom of the conference. You scratch out the 2, then you lose to BC, and then you lose to Carolina. But then, like you said, Billy, you write it up, and so that to me is Bennett. Again, call it boring, people, whatever, as far as the style of play, but he's always working. He's always trying to see what, and you got to be ready on the bench to be like, hey, I don't know when coach is putting me in.
Bennett's got to be probably one of the best halftime adjusting coaches.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, he every game he will come out and it's going to be a different. He will shut down whatever got him that first half.
Yeah,
that's definitely not from Keats, but because I don't think he has that kind of adjustment. I don't think many of the coaches have that kind of adjustment.
I don't think. I think Bennett is up here with the coaches right now. And let me just make it clear. I don't know, and I mean, Chris, I don't know if you took it the wrong way. I'm not talking about the play of the ACC is boring. I'm talking about you have no. I mean, right now, Bennett needs a coach to come along. They need a rivalry there. The Carolina Duke rivalry, yeah, it's still there,
Right.
but you don't have that Coach K. You don't have the Roy thing. Something needs to happen for the ACC to get, like, and every. I mean, of course, every year the UNC Duke rivalry, but it's not the same this year. I mean, the first game wasn't the same to me.
Well, they weren't ranked. It was like
that's what I'm
the first
saying.
time in years.
But that's
They
what
weren't
I'm
even
saying.
ranked. Yeah.
Even
it's crazy.
then, though, the whole buildup was not the same because you don't have that. You don't have the whole Coach K. There's nobody there anymore. And I knew this was going to happen. I said this last year. What's going to happen when Coach K and Roy are both gone? I mean, who's going to take the mantle? And what's going to take the mantle and lead the ACC like to being okay? You can't keep going the Duke Carolina rivalry if it's I don't know.
Well, it's not like it was trending down last year. I mean, I think there's a reason you see these guys
well,
retired.
but the only thing that really kept it up last year was the fact that it was Coach K's last hurrah. I mean, and the last game at Cameron against Carolina, and of course, when Carolina walked out that winner, it was like it elevated again. And then, of all things, when you get the rematch in the Final Four, that kind of elevated. But now it's like,
yeah, we're back where we were last year. It's like it never happened.
Yeah. I mean,
well, I mean, ACC made a good showing all around last year in the tournament.
Definitely surprised everybody.
Surprised everyone. So hopefully, we can see it again this year. So speaking of tournaments, ACC tournament is on us. So I guess this week, State's done regular season. I think we're the only team that are now done. We don't have a game Saturday. I guess our bye game was the last game of the season, so we don't have one. So
well, you can't lose, and that's for sure.
You cannot lose, which is good. So Chris, who's Virginia have this week?
Louisville.
You just mentioned Louisville. Louisville,
yeah.
Okay.
Louisville at home.
That should be a win, but as we know, you never know. But at home, that's definitely a win.
Yeah.
Carolina's got Duke. That should be a really good basketball game.
I don't know. Duke is playing well right now. I take my hat off to Duke. I take my hat off to Shire. He's done a good job with them. They've improved. I don't know. That first game at Cameron, I think we had a shot to beat them, but we blew it. It was back and forth. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm not looking at this game for Carolina fans too good. I don't think it's going to work out too well.
Well, if they lose that game, does that definitely knock them out?
I think so. Yeah, I think they good. Yeah, I think they got to have it, right? For
they got to have. I honestly think they've got to have this game, plus they've got to have a win in the ACC tournament to make it.
Yeah. Possibly. And Carolina doesn't hurt, but you're probably right.
Oh yeah, look, and I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, oh no. The fact that they're in North Carolina is the only reason they're still being mentioned and that's wrong. And that's wrong to me. The fact that it's that Carolina is the only reason they're still in the last 4 out. If this was somebody like, just throwing one out there, let's say it was Dayton or somebody,
right?
They wouldn't even be mentioned in the top 4 in the last 4 out right now. It's the Carolina I'm not denying that at all.
I'm glad State was able to help you, Stevie, as a quad 1 win that you guys were able. That's 1 of 2 quad 1 wins.
We only got 1 quad 1 win. That was against Virginia.
Virginia, we don't get quad 1. We're quad 2.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. If I'm not the one saying it, ESPN was the one saying it the other night after the Virginia game, that Carolina was now 1-8 in quad 1 games after the Virginia win. So don't fuss at me. I'm just the messenger, Billy.
I know that's the system is ridiculous. So what else we got this weekend? So Clemson has got, let's see,
Pitt, the big game.
Miami and Pitt for first place.
Pitt. That's going to be the big game because if one of those lose and Duke wins, that puts Duke tied for first. If Virginia wins, they'll be tied. It would be another 3-way tie for first. Miami or Pitt, whoever wins. Virginia saying, well, no, Virginia, Miami, or Pitt would be at the top because they
So
still.
we lost to both Pitt and Miami.
so you
So
lose a
I
tiebreaker.
assume, whoever wins that game,
Yeah,
they'll be
whoever.
number one. And then, then we would be number two, assuming we win. We'd be the 2 seed.
And then we're either Pitt or I'd say Duke went.
Yeah,
well,
the
Clemson's
loser.
right there too.
Yeah, the loser of Pitt, Miami, and then Clemson.
Who's Clemson got this weekend, Billy?
I think they've got
I'm
Notre
looking.
Dame.
I'm looking. Yes, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, which
Yeah.
listen, poor Notre Dame has played good ball. They just get right down to the end and just can't get it done.
Well,
So
how long have I
it's
said?
not a gimme.
How long have I said Bray's job was on the line, Billy?
Right.
Last 2 years.
Well, he said that last year, he ended up having a pretty good season. So
yeah, I know. But this year it's not going to happen because he's retiring. So
no, maybe he made the right call.
Well, I don't know.
So-
He may be coaching next year, but he's leaving Notre
he's
Dame
leaving Notre
anyway.
Dame, yeah.
He
I
is,
should
that's
have said
true.
retire.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, you got it set up. You got the top 4, obviously, in the ACC tournament, or going to be Pitt, Miami, Duke, and Clemson, wherever it stands. So they
UVA.
get that double.
Oh,
bye.
wait, you just left. Hey, Virginia.
Come on, man.
Hey, how
Oh,
you doing,
Virginia. I
bud?
didn't say Virginia.
You said
I'm sorry. What
Clemson.
did I say?
You said
Virginia.
Clemson.
Oh,
You
I'm
said
sorry.
Duke.
Sorry, Chris. Sorry. My bad.
Wow.
So
Hello.
Clemson's a 5. So Clemson's a 5, I guess.
Potentially.
Yeah, if Clemson
Okay.
wins,
If
I'm
they
just
win.
looking. Clemson could end up 14-6. Duke could end up 14-6. Virginia, if
it's
they
a
win, will
tiebreaker
be
there.
15-5, and then Miami or Pitt, whoever wins that, will be 15-5. So the top 4 should be either Miami and Pitt. Miami, or I think Miami will beat Pitt. But you know what? They do have a habit of choking, so they may. Virginia's will be up there.
Yeah, I mean Clemson beat Duke earlier, right? So I
That's true.
assume they would have the
That would move
tiebreaker
them
there,
ahead.
so-
Well, they've got the same record right now, and they're below Duke.
Huh.
Yeah, I
Interesting.
don't know, because you're right, they did beat, but they're below Duke right now. They're both at 13-6. I guess the overall record is what they're going by over here, because Clemson's 21-9, Duke's 22-8. So I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
That's overall, not conference. Yeah.
It's going to
So-
after this weekend. We should be able to tell. Of course, the seasons and everything, but I think that you got those 5 up there. Of course, State can't get any higher than what they are right now.
No, we could actually, if Carolina wins, we drop to 7. But actually looking at this, it looks like the 7 game is Boston College is playing, more than likely Boston College. I forget who they're playing. I would rather probably have that game than the other game, because the other game was Virginia Tech and somebody else. I don't want to play Virginia Tech because they're not done. They're a good basketball team.
At this point, with Carolina, I don't think any matchup is a good matchup, Carolina, unless they show me something. Really, because they've lost
Right.
to Virginia Tech
Well-
already. I
tell you
I just let the cards fall where they do. I put it that way.
Well, I'll tell you the difference maker, Carolina has been Nance. He has stepped up and kind of that manic role in the last 3 to 4 games. He's been the difference maker for Carolina, without question. You can
Let
see
me
it.
ask you this. Did you guys watch Florida State Carolina game the other night?
No.
Did
I
you
watched part of it.
notice? Did you notice the second half? Hubert took what's his name? God
Big
knows
guy.
who?
Bacon.
Baycott. Yeah,
Yeah.
took him out.
Took him out.
Yeah.
I noticed that. And they played
He
better.
hadn't scored. He hadn't scored a point.
And they played better. So,
Well,
I did
here's
see,
the
I forget, I
thing.
did, I
Here's-
was watching that game and I noticed the chemistry, and I think that was a mistake. I can understand why. You've got this core group who's great, but Hubert, I think, should have made an adjustment earlier to some of his other talent on that bench.
Yeah, well, that's been
And
and if I could
changed.
pinpoint one thing that Hubert has done wrong this year, he hasn't got a good rotation off the bench. You got guys
Agreed.
on that bench that can come out and play, and you're not giving
Right.
them minutes just because you got 4 divas up there. And I'll go ahead and say it, Billy.
that-
I'm
Yeah,
You
no,
know
it's
me,
true.
I'm gonna tell
It's
you
true.
like it is. You got 4 divas over there. And maybe Leaky isn't as bad as the other 3, but and I don't know. I think they, after who did they lose to so bad? And they called like a meeting. I was hoping, okay, maybe this is is what we needed, but then you
Yeah,
go,
well, it was. Next game, they blew, beat Clemson pretty soundly. And then they came over to our
then what
state and
happened
lost.
after that?
They got whipped in Raleigh.
Whipped. I wouldn't call that whipped. I mean,
I believe, what were they up 12 in the last minute to go in the game?
or like I'll say this: Leaky and RJ Davis. I'll say this: they've been playing about like they should play, but the other two, Baycott, he wanted to be on TV shows on the Outer Banks and do all this other stuff instead of playing worried about basketball. And how many of these guys, like Caleb Love, don't you know right now he's thinking, I should have went to the NBA last year.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I could be, and I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it like it is. He'll be a bust in the NBA. If somebody takes him high, he'll be a bust. And I mean,
yeah, agreed. So looking at the ACC tournament, so first day, and I was going to pull this thing up really quick, and I think we got a pretty good guess of what we're looking at. So game one, you got the 12 seed against the 13 seed on Tuesday. So, and right now, let's see what's it looking like. The 12 and 13 seed are. You guys got a breakdown in front of you?
I'm trying to bring one up right now. I had it, and then
I think it's Florida State is the 12 right now.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm bringing it up right now. What?
So I've got
the wrong.
If this is the other day, it would be Florida State, Georgia Tech, Boston
That sounds
College,
right.
Louisville, and then Virginia Tech, Notre Dame.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
right now, the bottom two is Louisville and Notre Dame,
Okay.
and then Georgia Tech and Florida State are just ahead.
So game one, 12 gets 13. So that looks like Georgia Tech and who? Well,
Florida State.
Yeah.
Florida State.
Can we just go back to the old days and stop just freaking? It's like freaking geometry class trying to figure out the ACC.
I know. Well, listen, I hate this. I mean, listen, and I know it's a reason I hate it because we never get the benefit of it because we're not as good, I guess. But this double bye is so unfair. I mean, it's not a legitimate tournament when you're getting a double bye.
How many teams are in the ACC?
17, 15, 15.
15.
15. Okay.
15.
Give the number one seed a bye. Let the rest of them play. Let the last two teams play each other to play the number one team, and make the rest of them play all the way through. Screw it. Grow up. Be a man, ACC. Stop giving double.
Right.
Buys.
So Stevie and I are in agreement on this one. So, I mean, it's just
stop making it so daggum complicated. Oh, we're going to give a double bye. And then this team, if they win, this team goes here. I mean, stop making it so complicated and just let the number one seed get a bye. That's what you want to do. That's what you work for. You don't work for, I'm going to be, guess what? I was a number 14. I got a bye. Whatever. You're like third loser.
well, it makes it near impossible to play in the first day and maybe make that run.
Exactly.
It
Put it on
takes
an
some of the fun out of it.
even playing field and see who the big boys are.
Yeah, because a tournament, it's a new season, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's a fresh go.
Do
So
they do that in the NCAA tournament?
That's true. That's true. So first game, you got a 12 against 13. If it is, I guess, Georgia Tech, Florida State, who do you think pulls that game off?
Georgia Tech and Florida State.
Yeah,
I would have to pick Florida State. I mean, I just don't think Georgia Tech's very good at all. They haven't.
I agree.
Anything. I mean,
I was Florida State 9-21.
I know it's.
How have they not won 10 games this year? I mean, that's.
Yeah.
Is the seat hot down there in Florida State, Billy?
No. Leonard Hamilton, no. They definitely got bit by a lot of injuries. They just beat Miami, so that's a pretty big win. It just hasn't clicked. I mean, I'm not
9 wins though.
Leonard Hamilton's
9 wins.
It's a fact. It happens, man. Like,
this is crap. Like,
I mean,
I mean,
you have bad seasons.
I mean, of
And
course.
again, they lost a lot of players to injuries really quick, and now slowly getting them back. It's just been a bad year for them. So, but you know what? It's a new season for them. They can beat any team in the
They
ACC on
can.
a given night.
I honestly thought they
I
were going
don't
to come back
think-
and beat Carolina the other night.
Yeah. So, but it just hasn't been a quality season. So I definitely think Florida State wins that, moves on. Game 2 on Tuesday is a number 10 against number 15 seed. So number 15 is obviously Louisville.
Right.
Who's 10 look like?
I
What?
think it was BC.
Boston College.
BC.
All right.
Yeah. Which I mean, BC, as we saw against UVA, they can get hot. Post presents a lot of problems for teams. So I don't think I wouldn't expect them to have any trouble with Louisville, but BC may be one of those teams to look at on day 2 as well if they could, get some confidence going. They're a little
BC's won 3 in a
scrappy.
row.
Yeah.
I mean, a team we beat by I think over 30, and then they beat Virginia. That's what I mean. Nothing makes sense in the ACC. Like if Virginia owned us when we played them, so it just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, good night. They can definitely win. So what do you guys think on that game? Everybody's taking BC. I think you
I'm
got
taking
to,
BC.
right?
Yeah.
Game 3, we got 11 seed against 14 seed. 14 seed is what, Notre
So you're
Dame?
looking Tech and
Six?
Tech and Notre Dame, potentially
Tech
Virginia
and
Tech.
Notre Dame.
Which again, all year we've been saying what happened to Virginia Tech, right? Riding off because they won the tournament last year, they got hot, and I don't know if it was injuries. I know it was a combination of a few things. Injuries hurt them. They just haven't. It hasn't clicked this year.
It did click when they played you guys because I believe they beat you, right?
Oh,
The second time, yep,
Yeah.
on the road. As I said, on the road
Hold on
we
here.
struggle a little bit, but we got them at our spot. But you never like to lose to the rival. But
Right.
again, another team with high expectations. I would just have my eye on them to see if they could
Me
catch
too.
lightning in a bottle again. I mean, if they're getting healthy, but they're just so dang inconsistent.
yeah. Very.
They
That's the
are.
thing.
They're
Very up and down.
streaky.
So,
But I got them winning that game. I think
Well,
they beat Notre Dame.
Never mind. Go ahead, Billy. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying I think they beat Notre Dame and move on.
Yeah, I think so.
I would agree with that.
So we get the second day on Wednesday, March 8th. So game 4, you got 8 seed against 9 seed. So what's that? Syracuse, Wake Forest?
Right? Yeah. Just
What I was thinking.
Syracuse just needs to go away.
I
just-
agree.
Even,
oh
you
my
know,
gosh.
Yeah,
Jim Boeheim
I
has
bet you do
he
agree,
needs to
Billy.
retire. I think he should have retired a year ago.
that's one of those games that I didn't understand, Billy, with you guys. Y'all lost to Syracuse. I didn't understand.
Yeah.
That's one of those games you got to have.
Right.
Billy froze up on me after that. Look at that
His internet
face.
quit.
Come back, Billy. I'm sorry. Okay. We just
Lost our host.
yeah,
But
we
yeah,
lost the host.
I'll be rooting for Wake in that game because I don't want Syracuse to have any.
Oh, he's connecting. Yeah, I've definitely I'm tired of
Sorry
Baker.
about that, guys. I'm back.
Back.
I brought up a bad memory and you had to get off of here, Billy.
I know. That's it. But yeah, you're right. Syracuse was a bad game for us, but they're
But
bad games.
yeah, like we said, Chris and both of us said we'll be pulling for Wake Forest against Syracuse.
Yeah, I agree. And Wake, boy, well, you know what? Wake's lost not Mon whatever his name is. The 3-point threat. He's out the season. He got hurt at State. So I mean Applebee's
He hurt at
amazing.
State.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a cheap foul. No, I'm just joking. It was not a cheap foul. He went up. Leaky's was not a cheap foul. I'm just joking.
No, it was not a cheap
No, he went
foul.
up the block, came down, and he blew something out. So, but with Wake Forest losing him, I don't know if they win that ball game, but
I just
I'd
hope
probably
they
have
do.
Syracuse in that game.
I guarantee you, if Wake Forest beats them, then Boeheim will say they cheated somehow. Yeah,
I'm sure. So
he needs to go home.
it's always something with him. So all right, so you guys are picking Wake Forest. I'm picking Syracuse on that one to
Okay.
move on. Game 5, you got 5 seed versus 1 seed. Game 1 win, I'm sorry. 5 seed versus game 1 winner.
So that's potentially Duke or Clemson, depending on
Yeah.
how things go.
Yeah, you're getting into the part now where it's
I would expect whoever it is, if it's Duke or Clemson, so, to beat either. I guess we picked for Florida State in that game, right? So I would expect them to beat Florida State.
Now, if it's Duke, I would say yeah. Duke would beat Florida. Clemson, I don't know. Clemson is up and down.
Yeah, depends what team shows up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be so quick to say Clemson beats Florida State as I would Duke beats Florida State. I think Duke would beat them, but Clemson.
Well, it's interesting. I'm trying to think back to those games this year. I want to feel like Clemson nicked Florida State. They beat them by in one possession, and then the next, I feel like they beat them by almost 50 points. So again, that's
they beat them by 40. They beat them by 40.
Okay, they beat them by 40, but they beat them twice. They beat them the other time.
Let me see what
by one or a basket or something. It's ridiculous. So that's the epitome of the season right there, right?
Yeah, it really is.
Same two teams. They played, and I think those games are relatively
82
close.
to 81. Yeah.
Right. So they won 1 by 1 and 1 by 40.
So that's what I'm saying,
So who's the rubber match? But I would still be confident that whoever that number 5 seed is against, a 10-win team.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. So game 7. So the 6 seed is going to play the game 3 winner. Now the 6 seed could be interesting, Stevie, because if Carolina beats Duke, they move over state and take the 6 seed, it looks like.
Okay.
So if they lose, they stay at 7.
Yeah.
So
that would be what, Boston College? Or
Yeah.
That's the other game. That's the Virginia Tech game.
Yeah, that's Virginia Tech, Notre Dame. No, Virginia Tech, Notre Dame maybe game.
That's the game 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's Virginia Tech, maybe it's a little closer. I just have a feeling this tournament's going to be a little chalky. I don't know how many of these lower seeded teams are going to make big runs here. I just think that some of these teams are bad.
Yeah, there's some bad teams out
and
there.
the reason they win a game is because the other team's worse, but they're still bad.
You have a cold night.
Louisville.
We've seen that.
If Louisville makes it out of the first round, then something's wrong.
That's an upset. The major.
That's a huge upset. 4 wins in the ACC.
But again, the last few weeks they've been playing much better. They just beat Clemson, and they had only lost to Virginia by 4.
Sure.
So that's not bad basketball, guys.
Not bad, but it's still, Billy.
Hey, Billy, it's bad basketball. They're still L's. They're still L's, man.
They are.
You're 4 and freaking 21.
I know. It's an anomaly.
This isn't going to be 1983 all over again in Louisville in the NC State thing where we win the tournament with 4 wins and we're going to go to the championship. No, they're not going to make it out of the first round of the ACC tournament.
Are you saying the '83 team had 4 wins that season?
No, I'm just saying they're not going to pull something off like that and win the whole.
No, they're not. No, I don't think so either.
That's their only chance of making the NCAA tournament. It's not going to be that.
They're not. I have them losing.
No, I know how many. I know NC State had more than 4 wins in '83, Billy.
Okay, good. So then we get to the game. Thursday, and you got your double bye people. So, and that's when it gets interesting. So I know. It's a cakewalk with a double bye. But you earned it, I guess. But
here's the thing: what game anywhere else does a 4th place team earn a double bye?
Right.
I think it's ridiculous.
3rd place team, I can see maybe the 2nd place. Even that, I don't like.
Well, especially in this year where it could be Duke and Clemson playing.
Yeah.
And they're separated by a tie, but getting the double bye is a much more significant advantage going into that game, right?
Yeah, I agree. I just they need to, like I said, show everybody who the big boys are. play.
Steve and I actually agree on this completely.
Give the number one seed. Give the number one
fun.
seed a bye, and the rest of them just let them play out. Show them you're not a bunch of pansies and play.
Level the playing field, and I think that's definitely because I mean if you're playing at game one, by the time you get to that, it's just near impossible. State almost pulled it off one time and just ran out of gas.
Yeah,
so
I remember that. That was when Justin Gainey.
Yes, good
played
memory,
he played like every minute of the tournament.
He did, and he left it all on the court, but they just couldn't get it done.
He did.
So
who did they lose to that year, Billy?
Do what?
Who did they lose to that year in the tournament championship?
It was Carolina. I was there.
I just wanted my memory refreshed. Okay.
That made it worse. They were in that game. They were really in it. And you could tell it. I mean, they literally just ran out of gas. It was a tough one. But so, I mean, State's in here. Who's got a real shot to make a run? Obviously, you got your top teams. Virginia is favored, I know. After Virginia, Pitt, man, you got to put out there too. After that, does Carolina make a run here? No. I mean, it's not. I mean, I don't. They're playing much better basketball. So yes, no.
Did you watch the second half of this Florida State game?
No.
They're playing good basketball. Just because they won 3 games in a row doesn't mean they're playing good basketball. I mean, they played good against Virginia. They almost blew that game against Virginia. I thought, because let me tell you, I wasn't even going to watch that game. Because I told my mom, she was like, well, Carolina's playing tonight at Virginia. And I was like, that's the most frustrating team. Last thing I need to do right now is watch them and get mad at them. So I look at the score. They're up, 12-13 at the time. I was like, they're going to blow it. I keep looking at the score, turn it on with like 6 or 7 minutes left in the game. And all of a sudden I look and Virginia's like within 8. And I'm like, holy crap, they're going to blow this, because I started watching it. I mean, yeah, there's something.
And they squeaked one out at Notre Dame, but they still got the win. So it's going to be really interesting, that Duke Carolina game. I mean, lots on the line for them. So it really. I
mean, nobody in this conference is coming into the tournament like, hey, we're playing. We're riding high. I mean, everybody's up and down all around. So it makes it really difficult to call that. We'll call something related to
there's something going on behind Chris. There's something going on behind Chris right now.
That's my little Kihei Clark back there.
I didn't know what that was at first. I was like, what is
that? So that makes it really difficult to pull a team, Billy, like you're saying, someone in that 5 to 8 range, like who's going to make, I mean, NC State, again, they could start shooting the lights out in Greensboro and be like, wow, you could
man, Terquavion Smith has got to do something. I mean, he's been in a slump for 5-6 games. And I mean, that's without Joyner. Talking about transfers, I mean, we got Joyner in the portal and Burns. I mean, where would we be without those 2 guys?
Yeah, and Joyner's been playing well,
Smith, I mean, if he hits, if you got Terquavion Smith and Joyner hitting, we're in business. But he just is not.
So those two, if there's any other guard combo in the ACC with better upside than Smith and Joyner, it's hard to find. And maybe Miami's guards. Agreed. And so that typically drives some things in the tournament. Now, Miami, again, like you said, Stevie, I don't think a lot of us believe in them now, but they do have really good guards, which makes a difference in March. Yeah. So if I'm looking at it, Billy, I would say, even though you lost a couple games, you guys have about as much upside as anyone. For Virginia, for Virginia, we need 4 or 5 contributors to actually get there, because Clark and Beekman are great, but they're not big scoring. You're not really going to drive the scoring typically on a night in, night out. But those other teams with guards, that usually will give teams like Virginia and others trouble.
I mean, it was crazy, Chris. I mean, that State Duke game this week. I mean, we're down. I thought we were going to pull a minute and a half comeback like we saw this weekend. were down like 12 with a minute 40 to go, and we got it down to 4 with about 35 seconds to go because of Joyner. I mean, he put up 10 points in no time. So it can happen fast, and they can turn things around quickly. And that's what else Quavion Smith really contributing to anything.
And there goes Billy.
We're just got to get to the point. I know you probably got somewhere to be. See, we're about to make our calls here for the.
I will tell you this. While he was talking, I was thinking, realistically, gosh, I can't get over that face. Come on, Bill. I got to give it. Realistically, and you may disagree with me. You made a good point with nobody is coming in there like, you're thinking, okay, they're dominating. They're not on it. There's nobody on a big hot streak right now. Anybody realistically in that top 6 or 7 could walk out with the championship this year. I don't think realistically, you can't say anybody near the bottom because they're not getting those buys.
Right.
There he goes again. But anybody in that top 7, I think, has a shot to win the tournament.
All right, we're back. Sorry about that.
We never left, Billy.
Yeah,
Stevie
we
and I
never
were here.
left. We were always
Okay,
already
good.
here.
I left. I'm back.
So we were cutting to the chase,
we were
Billy.
just talking about.
We were cutting to the chase and saying, from our vantage point, anyone in the top 7 has a shot. Outside of that, it seems like a real stretch.
Yeah.
Real reach.
I agree.
Because everyone's coming in on sort of equal footing, up and down. You can hang your head on some things, but you have some weaknesses. Coaching, obviously, I think is going to matter a ton. So Shire, he's had it, like you said, Stevie, he's performed well.
Yeah,
his first year, a lot of got to give him credit there. But now it's like, okay, what's going to happen come to the tournament time, both ACC and NCAA. So there'll be some pressure there to see how the coaches respond and how the players respond to that.
And Billy, I'm going to leave you with this because I've got to go. I'm going to leave you with this. How exciting would this tournament be if they didn't have the freaking double buys and you had all these guys playing on the same amount of time, no rest except for the number 1 seed? How exciting would that tournament be? It'd be like the old days again. Why they don't do that? But the fact of the matter,
back in the old days with Stevie. So,
they want
to
stretch out.
You.
They want to stretch out. They want to stretch out this tournament as long as they can because guess what?
Yeah. More money, right?
Exactly.
All right. So before we go, let's take predictions. Chris, who you got winning the ACC tournament?
I'm going to go Virginia.
Got to go.
Not to just be a homer, but I do think that we have some distinct advantages coming into the tournament this year, coaching, roster, and I think that Bennett will be able to find the right combination to win a couple games, put something together.
All right, Stevie, what's your take?
I have to say Virginia.
I think. All right.
I mean, just like we said, Bennett's the elder statesman now, and Bennett has the most experience. And Bennett Bennett makes, like we said, he makes good adjustments. I think Virginia wins it.
You know what? I'm going to go way outside here, guys. I'm going Pitt. I'm telling you, they're playing good basketball, and they seem to keep answering the call. So, and everybody keeps underestimating them. So I'm gonna go Pitt.
I'm one of them. So I'll eat crow if they win it.
All right. We'll see. I'll have to be a little different. So I'll go Pitt on this.
You definitely are different on that one.
It's not like I'm picking a long shot.
I was going to say they're tied for the first.
Yeah,
but Billy be watching that game on Saturday to see how nervous he's going to be about his pick. See how Pitt performs
the Miami
on the big
Pitt
stage.
game will be so. Well, either one of those, I don't. It may not even be either one of those two in the final game against Virginia.
Maybe.
You know what? I'll tell you this. I would not be surprised if you saw a Virginia Duke championship game. If it works out, I don't know how it will work out.
Right.
But I would not be surprised if you saw those two in the championship game. And you know how hard it is for me to say, Billy.
Yeah, that's all right. You heard it here. So,
all right.
All right, guys. Well, let's wrap it up. Hey, great. I'm glad we got one of these in this season.
We
Maybe
can
we'll
get
squeeze
another
one
one
more for
in.
the
I mean, the
end.
tournament.
I think we can get
tournament-
another one in. Let's do it. We'll definitely get we're on a roll now. So Chris, you're in. You're the official. No more guests. We'll just bring you in
I
officially.
mean,
So,
that hadn't even been. I mean, he's like the third member. He's been that way for me for a
There
long
you
time. I don't
go.
know what you. And Billy, you're supposed to be like close friends with him. And I've considered him the third member for a while. I mean, come on, dude.
I don't know
It's
if I
like-
call him a close. No, I'm just
It's
joking.
like when I'm gonna pull the old my old wrestling reference. He's like the third member of the NWO. It was like the
Oh, there you
Hogan
go.
coming in.
Wow, nice.
Just like the
Wow.
Hogan coming in.
There you go. There you go. Well, guys, hey, thanks for jumping in with Tobacco Road Weekly. We'll see you next time.